Morning, lady and gents. So let's just continue with our month three. So earlier on we finished with month two. So we already know by now that the opening balance in month number three is the closing balance in month number two. And so far, what I have been doing, I have been just taking this opening balance and I have been multiplying by this lovely interest per month, right? So interest rate per month. So, but now there's also another way for people that seem not to understand, people that are using cells. So because I'm using Excel here, I can also do it manually by saying, oh, it's equal to 69,814.48 multiply by the monthly interest rate in this case, which will be 11.5% divided by 12. You see that I get exactly the same amount, right? So that is also a way to show you that the manual method and the Excel method give you exactly the same figure. So then after that, I will now come here and I will say, okay, my balance with interest is equal to that plus that. That give you exactly this figure, and then the closing balance for the month of the third month will be the balance with interest minus the repayment. So we're going to repeat this for month number 4, 5, all the way to month number 60. So now to save time, I'm gonna jump right into month number 59, which is the month before the last, right? So usually during the exam, these are the last 2 months that are given to you. As you can see here in month number 59, they often give you that value, right? Because for you to know what it's the amount here, you need to have the balance at the end of number 49, right? So it's often given to you, and then they will just ask you to work out the interest, which we know, as you see here, it's equal to the opening balance multiplied by the interest rate, or if you like the manual way, that amount, which is 3,104 multiplied by 11.5%, divided by 12. So that will give you that amount of 29.75. Now, and then balance with interest, we know it's that plus that will give me this figure. As you can see, I've already typed in the value, and then the repayment is exactly the same. As you can see, 1,574.67, and the closing balance will be the balance with interest minus the repayment. So now it becomes interesting when you get to the last month. Now we know already by now the closing balance become the opening balance, right? So closing balance of month 59 will become the opening balance for month 60, and then we just going to keep up doing the same story. That figure, opening balance multiplied with my interest rate. In this case, I'll use that to save time, and then the balance with interest will be the opening balance plus the interest. As you can see, I have added. Now look at what's happening here, guys. You can see that the repayment here is not given, right? The reason why it's not given simply because you need to know that the repayment for the last month must be equal to the balance with interest. And why is that the case? Simply because the closing balance must be zero. We are just very fortunate here that the balance with interest in month number 60 is actually equal to what the repayment is supposed to be. But it doesn't always work out that way, guys. It doesn't always work out that way. So for that reason, I'm going to tell you that you must remember this as a rule. The repayment for your last month in terms of your contract must always be equal to the balance with interest. As you can see here, the balance with interest is 1,574.67, and it's just happened to be the same as our repayment. Let's just say our repayment was, let's say, 2,000. So it means what? We end up having a last balance, the balance with payment, which is lower. But now let's imagine that it was, let's say, the balance with interest was 2,000, right? If the balance with interest for the last month was 2,000, therefore the repayment for the last month would have been 2,000, because if you do not do that, you will not have the zero balance. So the zero balance is a must here, and therefore for that reason the repayment for the last month must be equal to the amount that you have in the balance with interest. So we just happen to be lucky here that it's exactly the same amount, so it's going to be 1,574.67. so therefore the balance at the end will be that minus this, which gives us our zero. So that's where we end this and I'll see you on the next one.